Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of Primetime Weekend News. We're coming to you live and direct from our Newsfest studios in Colombo. My name is Sonali Wanagapathu. Let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines. President instructs Disaster Management Minister to speedily submit a report on how the public were informed of extreme weather conditions. Death toll from the extreme weather increases to 25. Minister of Disaster Management says he will accept responsibility if a mistake has been made by the Met Department. The Janatha Vimukti Peramuna says the present rulers have failed to fix the country. On to the news in detail now. The President has instructed the Minister of Disaster Management to submit an immediate report on the change in the weather and the manner in which early warnings were issued to the public.
The President's media unit said that the President had instructed the subject minister on this matter, taking into account the change in the weather patterns and the difficulties the public had to face as a result. The head of state had instructed the Minister of Disaster Management to include in the report on the steps that were taken to inform the public and the fishing community on the weather situation and also the manner in early warnings were issued.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Director of the Disaster Management Centre, Pradeep Kodipilli, says that the number of deaths among fishermen caused by the extreme weather has increased to 27. The Disaster Management Centre also notes that 29 others remain missing. The DMC also noted that 101 houses have been damaged, while 107 people from 24 families who were displaced have been housed in evacuation centres. Meanwhile, the bodies of 8 fishermen washed ashore in Balapitia earlier today. The police said that 7 of the bodies were of the fishermen who went missing in the Ahungal area. The police said that the other body was of a resident of the Balapitia area. 22 people have been hospitalized after sustaining injuries in accidents related to the extreme weather conditions. 37 fishing boats are still missing. The Sri Lanka Navy and Air Force are continuing their search and rescue operation to locate fishermen who went missing due to the inclement weather conditions.
According to the Department of Meteorology, the gale winds that battered the country since Friday entered the island from the southwest region. At some occasions, the wind speeds were around 80 km per hour. The gale winds mostly affected the western and southern coastal areas and the northwestern part of the country. At the time the weather situation grew worse, fishermen had already set out to sea. We set out to sea at around 5 last evening. At night, the rains were accompanied by strong winds. At 5:30 in the morning, we tried to pull in the nets back to the vessel and the vessel turned over. We were rescued by a helicopter.
It was dark when they set off to sea last evening. The seas were rough. The boat had turned over. They only found pieces of the boat. My son and uncle are both missing.
The Sri Lanka Air Force today dispatched its sea craft in a bid to locate the fishermen reported missing.
Continuing with yesterday's search and rescue operations, the Sri Lanka Air Force has launched its surveillance aircraft, the Beechcraft, to patrol the coastal area from Kolpeti to Galle. The search and rescue operations are being carried out in conjunction with the Sri Lankan Navy. And as we used yesterday, we also have the Bell 412 helicopters on standby for any eventuality for rescue purposes, as well as the White Whale, which will also continue with the surveillance activity like we did yesterday.
Meanwhile, The Sri Lankan Navy had dispatched 4 vessels and 10 Dora boats for search and rescue operations. The body of a fisherman whose fishing boat toppled after setting off to sea from Dehiwala on Friday evening had washed ashore today in Angulana. The victim, 45-year-old unmarried Bennett Fernando, was a resident from Dehiwala.
They knew nothing about a storm. The Met Department did not inform us about the weather. If they informed us, they will not have set off to sea.
Meanwhile, the body of another fisherman, a 52-year-old, was washed ashore in Negombo and was identified by the relatives.
If the authorities informed the people, such a tragedy would not have taken place.
The body of a fisherman who had set off to sea from Balapitiya was discovered from Ahungala last evening. A correspondent in the area said that the body was handed over to the relatives today.
Meanwhile, Sarath Kumara Gunaratne, the Deputy Minister of Fisheries and Aquatic Resource Development, speaking at a media briefing convened today, spoke on steps that will be taken to provide relief to the fishermen.
We have implemented instant programs to provide the relief granted by the Disaster Management Ministry. In addition, as per the instructions of His Excellency the President, all of us at the Ministry, including our Minister, will provide our fullest support for programs to provide relief with regard to the vessels that were damaged, the deaths and everything else. Views were also expressed regarding the prevention of such disasters befalling fishermen in the future. In the near future, we hope to implement a program to ensure all these people, fishermen, are not showing enthusiasm even now when the annual premium is a low amount of 750 rupees. A lot of fishermen do not wear life jackets today. Everyone who wore life jackets have been safe. To make this more systematic, we hope to introduce a law in order to save these people from tragedies like this.
The Disaster Management Centre reports that over 100 persons who were displaced by the inclement weather have been housed at 5 camps. Its Assistant Director Pradeep Kodipilli said that relief services are continuing.
One person was killed when a tree fell on him in the Kolonna area. The tree had uprooted due to the gale winds that were accompanied by the heavy rains. The victim was a 65-year-old from Embilipitiya, Kolonna. Several areas along the Kiriyalla-Ayagama road in Ratnapura continue to remain inundated with the rising water levels of the Kaluganga. Our area correspondent said that as a result, transportation in those areas have been hampered and the locals are forced to use rafts and boats to continue with their daily activities. Several low-lying areas too have been inundated due to the Kaluganga breaking its banks. The Department of Irrigation said that the water levels of many rivers and streams that rise due to the heavy rainfall have begun to recede. Deputy Director for Aquatic Sciences at the department, Chitta Hettiarachchi, said that the water levels at the Nilwala, Kalu and Mahaveli rivers and the Attanagalu Oya have receded. According to the Ceylon Electricity Board, the electricity cable system that was damaged by the strong winds have almost been completely restored. Deputy General Manager for West and South of the CEB, Jaivilal Migoda, said that the high voltage electricity cables that were damaged have also been restored. 64 houses have been completely destroyed, while 1,164 houses have been partially damaged. This data has been reported taking into account the situation that prevailed across several districts. 107 persons have been housed at temporary shelters. So far, over 1,500 persons have been affected. Moreover, spill gates of several tanks and reservoirs have been opened. The spill gates of Castle, Canyon and Lakshapana reservoirs have been opened. The Department of Meteorology says that during the next 24 hours, the western, Sabaragamu, south and central parts of the country would experience rain. The department added that winds with speed of 60 km per hour could accompany the rains. The Department of Meteorology also added that winds in the coastal area could travel at speeds between 50 to 60 km per hour.
Minister Mahinda Amaravira says that if there has been any shortcoming on the part of the Department of Meteorology, he is prepared to accept responsibility as the Minister of Disaster Management. The minister made this statement addressing a gathering in Nuwara today.
කාලගුණ විද්‍යා දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව කියනවා ඒ අය අපිට දැනුවත් කිරීමක් කරා කියලා යම් ආකාරයක දැනුවත් කිරීමක් කරා.
Those at the Department of Meteorology say that they did issue an early warning to us, but there is no clarity regarding this. This morning, the President held discussions with me on how we can inquire into this. I made a pledge to him that within 2 days, we will submit a report on the warning issued by the Department of Meteorology. If this report shows that there has been a shortcoming, then I, as the Minister, am prepared to humbly accept the responsibility. If anyone has made this mistake, we will mete out punishment.
අපි අමාත්‍යවරයා විදියට මම සූදානම් මේ වැරද්ද කාගේ හරි ඇති වෙලා තියෙනවා නම් ඒකට අපි දඬුවම් ලබා දෙන්නම්.
This program was held at the Nuwara Town Hall today to distribute aid to 350 displaced families in the Nuwara district. Minister Navin Dissanayake and the General Secretary of the Citizens Front, MPJ Sri Ranga, were also present at the occasion.
Speaking at an event held in Chitravatta Hatton today, General Secretary of the Citizens Front, MP J. Sri Ranga, said that the Department of Meteorology should be held accountable.
It is the Met Department that should inform us of changes in the weather. Now a number of fishermen have died. They say that they have made them aware of the change in weather. However, did they inform them of this? They have told themselves. This is how certain government officials work. It is said that when disaster occurs, they had closed the department and gone home. 18 fishermen are dead today and 34 are missing. Who should be held accountable for this? The Met Department. This will be a major issue because it happened in Beruala. 6 people were killed in flooding in Nuwara. But this won't be a problem. Politicians here will not drag this out.
JVP Politburo member K.D. Lal Kantha says that the current rulers of the country have failed to fix the country. Lal Kantha made this observation at a public meeting held in Dodakam-Gaslanda, Kurunagala yesterday.
The present rulers have not fixed the country. They have not fixed it economically or politically. They have not fixed it socially or culturally. It has deteriorated. It is said now that before you go to the police, you should write down your last wishes. If the senior superintendent of police for Colombo North is also taken to the CID to record a statement, then police officers too will be imprisoned. Pradesh Sabha chairmen are in prison. Society has deteriorated. We have collapsed as a society. All good institutions have collapsed. The judiciary has collapsed. Several instances of police officers being suspended in the recent past. 9 CID officers fired on disciplinary grounds, DIG Gamini Namaratna. Most recent instance at the Aknimana police, 5 police officers suspended. What steps were taken with regard to the police officers who failed to arrest the chairman of the Embilipitiya Pradesh Sabha until he handed himself over?